It with Coach K podcast. I'm here today. This is episode 1. It's the pilot episode, as they call it. I'm here with Coach Henry Jones. Coach Jones this is a guy that got me into coaching, so I felt like it was appropriate to have him on the very first episode. We've had great conversations. Again, if it wasn't for this guy reaching out to me one day, I would not be coaching in all the fashions and forms that I do, whether it's football, helping the community, training athletes, all these different things. This guy, at the end of the day, I always give him credit, but this is the guy who made the first call and brought me that opportunity. So, again, this is Coach Jones. I'm going to have him introduce himself here in a minute. We're going to do our quick sponsor shout out. So first off, I want to thank my guys at BrainJerk Entertainment for making this happen. These guys give a platform to a lot of people and to the community, whether it's events for kids, events for adults, whether it's local community, just toy drives and different things that they've put together. Obviously, all the podcast entertainment stuff that they have coming out. These guys are awesome. They sponsor a lot of stuff. Make sure you guys go check them out, BrainJerkEntertainment.com. Go check them out on Facebook, Instagram. Yeah, check them out. So our second sponsor is Kennedy Health and Wellness. As you guys know, my wife and I run Kennedy Health and Wellness. We specialize in body care, candles. We specialize in nutrition, coaching and packages, coaching services, anything kind of in the health and wellness industry that you can think of. We kind of try to cover some form of that. So make sure you check us out. We're also on Facebook, Instagram, and you can also visit us at KennedyHealthWellness.com. So to get started today real quick, before I introduce Coach, we're going to have a quote of the day every day. Although as a coach, I don't think the quotes on the walls are the most important thing to build in your culture. I do believe they're important. I do believe you can teach things through these quotes. And it's important for us to have something that is either relatable to our show, relatable to our guest, myself, something that just has to deal with our show today and relate it in some way. So our quote today is, "It's not what you're capable of, but what you're willing to do." And that's a quote by Pittsburgh Steelers coach Mike Tomlin. And that's a great quote. So again, it's not about what your talent ceiling is, or it's not about what you can do. It's about the work you're willing to put in. It's about the details you're willing to put in. And I think both of us are human beings and coaches who exemplify that. So thought that was an appropriate quote for today, and that's something that I kind of lived through. I don't really care what my talent height is. I don't care what the ceiling is. All I care about is what kind of person am I becoming? What kind of work can I put in? Well, how can I elevate others? What am I willing to do? So without further notice, let's move on. Let's introduce Coach Jones. This is Coach Henry Jones. He's a basketball coach. He was at Triumph Academy and Airport High School. So a lot of you guys probably know those schools in our area. Again, great guy. Spent, I think, 10, 15 years coaching here before he went downriver. So I'm going to let him share a little bit about his story. And then I got a few questions for you, Coach, and to why you got into coaching and a few different things. So if you want to share a few things about your coaching career, where you started, how you got into it, those sort of things.
First and foremost, I appreciate you having me on. Love what you're doing in the community. Appreciate it. Again, I'm Coach Jones. I've been coaching in the Monroe area for 17 years this year. I started out at Triumph Academy. I've coached middle school football at Monroe Middle, coached the first downers. I had an AAU team that was based out of Monroe with kids from local schools. Coached 9 years at Airport High School.
Nice, very nice.
I'm currently at Annapolis High School in Dearborn Heights. So I've done numerous camps. I've done them for the Opportunity Center. I've done them for LevelUp. I've done them for the city of Monroe. I've done my own camps, so I'll do camps, clinics. I just like to try to be in the community, man. If there's a kid who wants to do something,
right,
and I got the time, I just try to be there. So it's hadn't been nothing very formal. I don't advertise a whole lot. You know what I mean? I don't market. Maybe I should, but I don't really do much like that. So I just kind of, it's word of mouth. If I hear a group of kids who say, "Hey, we're looking to do this," I'm like, "All right, I can help you do it if that's what you want to do."
Right. I actually, I got a big amount of appreciation and respect for that, man, because it's, you are somebody that's always been about the kids and somebody that is strictly in coaching for the right reasons. I've always believed that you're not in it for money. You're not in it to gloat. You're not in it for, to kind of relive the glory days. You know what I mean? How some guys get into it because, man, they was the man in high school, or, they was the girl in high school, and now they want to. You don't seem, you're not that kind of coach. And obviously we've done camps together and different things, and we've coached together in a couple different aspects. So I've seen that firsthand, but I love you sharing that with everybody because we need good coaches in this world, man, in every sport. Josh is here. Josh is starting to get into coaching. He's hitting me up, wanting to get involved with different, with girls soccer, with boys football. I love it, man, because at the end of the day, we don't really need the X's and O's necessarily. And I know that sounds crazy, but we need people that care about these kids right now. And I'm not saying you should put somebody in there that doesn't know anything. And coaches, you should always be studying to get better in the game, off the court, on the court, off the field, on the field. But the first thing should be, does this person care about the kids? Because we're in a society, man. It's
hard to tell sometimes.
It's crazy, and we need more guys like you, more guys like I believe myself. So let me get to a few questions here. So for me, and I'll share this quickly, but for me, when I got into coaching, when you hit me up, it was, to be honest with you, sports was my outlet growing up. It was not the easiest life growing up. I had some good family. I had some parts of family that was not great. I had some experiences that were great. I had some that were terrible. Grew up in some neighborhoods that were nice, grew up in some that were not. So I had kind of this crazy, tip of the scale back and forth experience. But when I got into coaching, for me, it was, when you hit me up, it was, there was a couple kids on the team, one of them was Steph and them guys. And my thing was, can I be the guy that I needed, right? I needed a coach when I was a kid. And lucky for me, if he's watching this or if he does at any point, shout out to Coach Bustle and the coaches over at Mason at the time. But I had some coaches, man, that really, really took me as a kid, not just a basketball or football or athlete. They took me as their kid. Yep. And that to me was like, how can I build relationships with kids enough to where I have that impact on them long term, to where and that's another thing I see with you. You're wearing the hat. That's your guy, right? That's a kid you coach. Steph is a kid you coach, who still talk to you today. And that's that relationship. That's the beautiful thing. So for me, it was that. So my question for you is, why did you want to get into coaching? Like, what was the moment, or what was the thought? What was the kind of the thing that was like, I got to do this. I got to go coach.
All right. Before we get into that, you mentioned the hat, so I'm gonna give him a shout out. Xavier Turnage, owner operator of the Chosen Few Threads. I used to coach him way back when I first started coaching. He was one of the first in that first group of kids that I coached. Steph and Umphris. So we give him a shout out as well. He's up at Madonna right now doing his thing. Great kid. I mean, I still talk to a lot of those kids back in those days. But for me, I got into coaching just because, I grew up in the country, so a lot of times I played by myself, even though basketball was like my outlet, because that was really all I could play a lot of the time.
Right.
So that was the one place I could go where I knew I was in control of what was happening.
Okay.
I mean, you can just go, I can shoot around, I can do whatever I want to do. And it's just me. Like, ain't nobody telling me what to do at this moment.
Freedom.
And I can just clear my head. I don't have to worry
Passion,
about anything.
love, freedom, just having fun.
Yep.
That makes sense.
On the flip side, you say you had coaches who took you in as kids. I mean, I had good coaches. I don't want to put down anybody who coached.
Right.
But I don't feel like, they coached me because they liked me.
You didn't have the same experience.
You know what I mean? They coached me because I was good.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And as long as the talent was there, they were nice to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That makes sense.
You just see how they treat some kids who don't have, who aren't the good kids on the team.
Right. Now, not to interrupt, but do you think you learned, because you're kind of the polar opposite of that in my experiences of seeing you coach? Is that something you learned from at that point, was I need to be different than kind of that?
Well, you can get more out of people. You know what I mean? So I coach for development. I love the development piece of it.
Okay.
Watching kids grow, getting better from day one to day 3, even to the end of the season. Like, and you don't see it happening in real time. But as one day at the end of the season, I'm like, man, when the season first started, like, you couldn't even make a layup.
Yeah.
You couldn't even dribble with your left hand. And now you're not a pro at it by any means.
But now you're
using it. You know what I mean? You'll make a few here and there. Like, to me, that's growth.
No, 100%. 100%.
So instead of yelling at that player constantly about not being able to do it,
coaching them up,
encouragement, tips, pointers. Don't worry about the misses. Right now, you're going to have way more misses than you're going to have makes. So you're not doing it for makes. You're doing it for the constant repetition. Get familiar with it. And then once you get familiar with it, there's going to be no thought process. And you're going to be making left-hand layups.
I always tell, and to piggyback off of that, I always tell my athletes, like, for example, if a quarterback, when I'm coaching a quarterback or when you're coaching a jump shot, right? I always tell them, keep working on the form. Eventually the pass will get there. Eventually the shot will go in, but the form's got to be such repetition that Yep, muscle memory, and that's how you do it. You put the constant, what is it, 10,000 hours to master something,
That's
right?
what it
that's
is.
the old saying.
So we call it in the gym. I call it sweat equity. So
Sweat equity. I like
you gotta
that.
get some sweat equity.
I'm gonna have to steal that one, man. I'm gonna have to steal that. I like that.
Yeah,
Definitely. So yeah, man, the development part it's awesome. And I think it's bigger than just sports, right? You teach that kid, now you taught them how to develop themselves as a person, how to develop their health, how to develop their habits in school, how to develop their grades, all these different things. It's a beautiful thing. So is that what you would say kind of got you into coaching, was just love for the game and then wanting to help others develop?
Yeah, it was just a love for development and just youth.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I was in the country, so it wasn't that, it wasn't a lot of people around.
You're not coaching all-stars in front of big crowds.
We didn't have programs where I came
right.
from. You know what I mean? So we couldn't go. We didn't have summer camps and like.
Coach, out of curiosity, because you bring up your childhood a little bit and kind of where you're from, and I don't know if our listeners, some of them may not know this, but where did you grow up? I
grew up in Alabama.
Like where was your first basketball experience, or your first Alabama?
Yeah, Alabama. I grew up in Alabama. My family moved there when I was 5.
Okay.
So from 5 until I graduated high school, that's where I lived at. That's where I grew up.
So I got this is not planned question, but what this is kind of something that I'm just curious on, honestly. And this is what I knew you and I would get into, is just conversation after so long. What's the biggest differences in sports down there and sports up here? I mean, what's basketball like down there? Because you said it's kind of quiet where you were at. Is it like that kind of everywhere in Alabama?
I mean, you get into the cities, the Tuscaloosas and the Birminghams.
They got some big stuff
it's
in there.
Intense. Yeah, I grew up in that area very similar to Carlton, actually.
Okay, so you grew up in a small city surrounded by a couple big ones, or small country
town, man.
Right, surrounded by a couple.
Everybody knew each other. Everybody was related.
Right. Do you ever go back?
I haven't been back in a while.
You haven't?
I haven't been back in a while.
Don't want to? I'm just curious.
I think I'm gonna make a trip down there.
It might be a little fun, man.
I went down.
Let me know if you go. I
went to a game in October, man. That was my first time being to Alabama, and like.
You went to an Alabama game?
Yeah.
Nate Oates? Coach Oates?
I went to a football game.
Oh, you went to a football
game in October.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You went in the fall.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I went to homecoming.
Oh,
Before that, I hadn't been to Alabama, man, and probably. It was before my son was born. He'll be 17 this year.
Right. Yeah, so Kobe's old, man. He's getting old.
Yeah. So it's been that long.
That's crazy. So for us in football, we know that down south, we know football is very we know the rules are a little different. We know they do stuff, year round. We know they're outside the warmer weather. Is it kind of like that in basketball? I mean, is it just a little more serious down there in basketball than it is up here?
It was football. Football is a little more serious.
Football.
I mean, basketball was more serious for me.
Right.
Because that's what I enjoyed more. But like, if you're talking about just
overall,
the average person down there, it's football.
Got you. So that's their kind of the South bread and butter.
Yeah.
Got you. Yeah. So so let's dive into a little bit. I always like to do an assessment. You're getting towards your end of the season. I'm at the end of, I was at the end of my season recently with football, not too long ago. And I always do an assessment, man, to kind of see, where I'm at, what I'm doing, how can I help the kids more. I did Glazier clinics. Shout out to the Glazier clinics. Did those a few weeks ago, talked to a bunch of coaches, and those are always good, man, when you talk to other coaches, because you learn, you reaffirm some things, right? Okay, I'm doing this right. This is great. And then you also go, okay, maybe that's the way I should do it. Maybe the way I'm doing it can be corrected or adapted. So I just kind of I got a question for you, because I think it's always important. And again, you're at your first year at a new school. That's always a challenge. Obviously, last year at Erie Mason was my first year leaving Romulus. And that was a challenge to just in certain aspects to adapt to what's going on there, adapt to the school, adapt to the kids, everything. But what do you think your biggest strength and your biggest weakness is as a coach? You can start with your strength.
I say my biggest strength will be, what's the word? Relatability.
Relatability to the kids, you mean?
Kids.
So you can walk into a gym and connect with the kids, because they can connect.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I think that's my strongest attribute, is that I don't think I've ever had a player I didn't get along with.
That's awesome.
Well, I've never had a player quit my team.
Never. Not one ever? Man, I can't lie. You got me beat. I mean, football's a little different, but I ain't gonna lie, man. You got me beat, because I've had a couple guys.
Not because of me. Like, I've had a player quit
because
guys. Like my dad said my grades aren't good enough. I can't.
But right,
nobody's ever quit because, Coach, I don't want to play for you.
Nice.
Like I've never.
Nice. I love that, man.
Never
But
had that.
again, firsthand, I've seen that, and again, your players and your former student. That's how you really tell. And I always tell people, I'm like, when I'm hard on kids or when we coach them a certain way, or when we like you said earlier, we were joking out here about you're the cool coach, but you're also the guy who don't put up with no shit, right? So it's like when you tell a guy like that shot's off, I don't care if it went in, it was an ugly shot, right? It's or you need to change this about it, whatever it is to coach him up, right? But it's because of the relatability, the love that's connected that we're able to do that. I always feel like I have to tell parents, I'm like, ask the kids before you, and not just parents, but maybe it's an administrator. And I'm like, ask the kids how they feel. Because like you said, I mean, I've had, I think 1 or 2 kids quit football that just didn't want to be there. And football, basketball, there are some kids that if they don't love it, they'll find a way out, right? And I'm not saying that, I couldn't have done anything better. I'm always trying to improve. But we haven't had a whole lot of kids quit. I have, I got 10 to 15 guys right now, man, that are playing college football, right? You have guys that are coaching college basketball right now. Like that's, and I think that is an ode to the relatability, right? These guys, it's that I think that's
makes it easier to have those tough conversations.
It does.
I mean, the tough conversation
to coach them hard and
might
get
not
them
be that tough,
right?
And you don't have to yell,
right? 100%.
You know what I mean? Once you relate
100%.
to them, you can just walk right up to them
and tell them straight up, honest,
and give them a little critique and tell them what they did wrong, what they could have done better, what they did well.
And then those kids end up going, like I just mentioned, they end up going so much farther, man. And it's like just understand that we have this relationship built, right? The good coaches, the good ones of us have done our work to build. And that was my biggest challenge. To be honest with you, at Mason, my biggest challenge in the first year, we talked about it out here, and that'll lead me into my next question, was, I'll be honest, it was relating to the kids. Not relating, I shouldn't say that, because I'm kind of the same way. I can walk into a room, but it was learning, let me put it this way, learning the different style of kids.
Yeah.
Because when you go from Romulus, when you go from the city and you go out to a country, out to a country program, it's different. It's different. It flat out has some challenges.
They have different cultures.
Different cultures, right? Yeah. That is what it is. That's obvious. There's no way around it, right? That's just, so for me, it wasn't, I shouldn't say relatability, because I walk in anywhere and I'm joking and I'm having fun and my energy is great. And kids, no matter where they're at, they connect to that. That's a you and I thing that we're both good at. Yeah. But I think it was learning the culture, learning the ways that I had to go, okay, this is how things go. It ain't like Romulus. These are the traditions here. These are the way we do things.
Different speeds. Like they have different values.
Different values.
Neither one is wrong.
Right, 100%.
It's just
100%.
Just different
ways.
They find value in this. They might find value in that.
Yep, and it's even down to simple things, right? Like the way you fundraise. The way you fundraise is different in the country versus the city, right? It's all these different, and that for me was like, I had coached downriver for 5-6 years, and now I'm coming to more of that country style, and now it's adapting to those different values and different ways of, and obviously, but I would say that the reason it works so well, right? I became the middle school coach, strength and conditioning coach, and the reason we had that I had success with the kids was that relatability. Because if it wasn't for that, it would have been tough. Let me lead you into this next one. What was your biggest challenge going from Monroe County to downriver? Or going from more country style to the city.
Yeah. The challenge was just trying to, like, coaching was the challenge. Like the players, like I got along with the players right away. Like I never felt like there was a wall or a barrier. Like the players weren't listening or anything like that. Like so my biggest challenge was finding where, coming from being a head coach for so long, because I was a head coach for JV and I was assistant for varsity. So I've been an assistant for a long time. Right. But I've also been a head coach for that same amount of time. So coming in and only being a full-time assistant coach is like,
it's different.
It's different.
Yeah, you know.
So it's not that I didn't want to step on anybody's toes, but you got to find your role.
100%.
So my role is not to be the head coach.
Yeah.
I mean? So now I got to find how to be an assistant coach full time. So it took me a while to get there, man. Then I got sick a week, so like I missed 3 games.
That makes it
during the season. You know what I mean? So that pushed me back.
That makes it hard.
Like in this past month and a half, man, like I finally gotten comfortable. I think I feel where I fit in at, as far as what I need to be doing. As far as to be the best assistant coach, in the state of Michigan, because that's my goal. You know what I mean? I'm not a varsity head coach. But I'm going to be the best assistant coach in the state.
100%. 100%.
So
I feel that.
Just trying to find that balance of when to step in, when not to step in. When to suggest, when not to suggest.
Did you and him have that talk, you and the head coach?
Yeah, I mean, he told me from day one, be you, do you, coach how you want to coach, suggest what you want to suggest, draw what you want to draw up, take over when you want to take over.
You need a guy like that with a coach because you're essentially a head coach in an assistant role. That's how I feel about myself.
And that's
I'm a head coach in an assistant role. So you got to find a guy to work with like that.
Shout out Bill Voss. That's the head coach up at Annapolis.
How's your season going?
We're better than our record. I want to say we're 8-9 or 9-10 or something like that. So straddling right around 500. We got to
figuring it out.
Left. Yeah, but I mean, we're hitting our stride now. So the same thing with the players. You know, I mean, we got, I want to say 12 seniors.
Okay.
You know, so and they've all been in the program since freshman year. They've all had success on previous levels. So now it's like, you know, things get a little bit tighter on varsity. So on JV, you know, 11 guys play. 10 guys play. On varsity, sometimes you get lucky if 8 play.
I'll say it might only be 6 or 7.
You know what I mean? So
definitely.
Guys trying to accept a new role first and foremost. You know what I mean? Because you might
being good with it.
You know what I mean? And then accepting it and then just excelling in it.
And that's hard to do with today's kids.
It is.
That's really hard to do with today's kids.
And it's still a struggle some days. It's still a struggle. But I think most of the guys are kind of bought into, all right, this is what it is.
This is what we do.
These are going to be the minutes I get. You know, what am I going to do with these minutes? Like, are you going to complain or are you going to produce? You know, because your minutes can go up or down. Because you're getting that many now, don't mean that's just what it's going to be.
Daily evaluations is what we preach. You can lose a spot any day of the week. You can gain a spot.
It could be for anything. You know, we might just put a different guy out just to see a different lineup.
Matchup.
See if we can get some energy matchup. And then like, man, okay, this is working. Ride it out. Why would we not?
Yeah, 100%.
You know, so to get kids to understand that and to accept that. Because sometimes they'll understand it and they'll still be like, no, I'm better than him. And you might be.
Yeah,
but for what we need right now in this situation, in this moment,
we need what his talent, skill set brings.
That's what we need,
or what his mindset.
You know, if you're going to be a good teammate, you'll accept that, and you know, because winning is the ultimate goal.
That's that should be the ultimate goal. How long's your head coach been there? This is something that's been established a while.
I want to say 11 years, 13 maybe.
Okay, so
he was similar to myself. He was a JV coach, head coach for 9-10 years. And then the varsity coach moved on. He applied and he ended up getting the varsity job. So he's a graduate of the school as well. So he's planted there. You know, he went to school there, graduated, coached in the program.
So you're in a good situation.
Yeah, it's a close knit family, man. The JV coach is real cool. Alan Hubbard.
This might be digging in a little deep, but what and you don't have to give the whole story, but what made the move? Why'd you want to move?
You know, when you do something, you think you're good at it, right? So like I would, you know, not tooting your horn or being arrogant, but like I think I'm a good coach.
Right.
You know, but like, am I? How do I know? What do I have to compare it to? I've been in the same school, in the same league, coaching against the same coaches.
Right.
For 9 years.
So you want to challenge yourself and
challenge myself. Let's
experience.
Let's see if I can get out of what I'm comfortable with. Because I got to the last 3 seasons of Airport and we came in and we already knew what everybody was going to do. Just like they knew what we were going to do.
Well, yeah, right.
Nothing had, personnel might have changed, but like we know Milan's going to do this. We know CC's going to play a 2-3 zone.
Right.
We know Riverview's going to press. You know what I'm saying? Like you just.
So you wanted that.
So you're already prepared before you have to prepare. So you have it in mind and you still work on your execution, but it was getting easy.
Yeah.
To a point. I mean, and it's never really easy. It's in the true sense of the word, but it was so comfortable to where it was like it was almost effortless.
Like
what was it
was on autopilot. Almost going in what do we always tell the kids? Doing the drills in motion instead of actually like doing the drills and knowing why you're doing them.
Yeah.
No, I definitely understand that. It's hard for me because as a coach, I love experience. I'm the same way. I love experiences. I love challenges. I know people when I left Wayne, I know there was people that were a little upset with me when I left Wayne. And then, I spent 3.5 years at Romulus. And then when I left there, they were all shout out to them guys. They were all amazing. The kids, I still talk to them. I'm still messaging them yesterday, man. The kids from Romulus, the coaches, them are incredible people over there. And they when I left, they were awesome. But it's hard for me, man, because I know what I understand what that feels like because the challenge is such and I feel you wanting to grow as a coach and see what can I do? What kind of opportunities can I open for kids? And to be honest, you and I kind of flip-flopped. I came home the same reason, but I came home to see how can I make Monroe County football bigger? How can I blow this thing up in Monroe County? So that's going to lead me into my next question. How can we improve basketball? I know you're downriver now, coaching there, but you still do some things you said here. Yeah. And how can we improve basketball and other opportunities in sports for our athletes here in Monroe County?
I mean,
Like just throw a couple things out there. These can be simple, they can be in depth, they can be stuff you've thought about doing for a long time, but right now today, how can we give more opportunities to our athletes? Or let's talk about the ways we are doing it right now.
I mean, there is some outlets. I mean, I know they got the Opportunity Center. There's LevelUp. I mean, LevelUp does cost, but if you can afford the membership, it's a great place to go.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And it's affordable.
Right.
You know what I mean? But you got the Opportunity Center. They just remodeled their gym. They got workout stuff in there. I just wish we had more programming within these places. Now, I know that takes coaches. It takes, people who care, who are going to come out and be willing to do it. So I know it's not easy, but I just think that we could have more programming at these places.
So using the outlets and platforms that we have, finding the right people, and kind of putting more opportunities out there, which I will say I do like that. Obviously, that's so downriver, man.
And the YMCA too. I forgot about the Y.
And the Y does some things too, but I've always thought that too. The Y could do a lot more, and I'm not talking trash or hating on the Y, but I agree. There's more things we could do in this area. Being downriver, we see Legacy Center, we see the Taylor Sportsplex, we see there's literally a Sportsplex on every corner, and it's something that's kind of drove me nuts, man. And it's why I came home to a degree, was like, we have to find a way to there's no reason. I get it. There's maybe more kids downriver. Downriver's a little bigger, whatever. But there's no reason we can't take it as serious as they do. And my lane is football, right? Your lane is basketball. It's a little different. But in my lane in football, that's always been my thought, is I'm not just coming home to coach Erie Mason. I'm coming home to try to blow up football in Monroe County. So places like LevelUp, places like the Y, places like the Opportunity Center, they're vital. And I do agree, if we could. But again, like you said, it takes people coming out. It takes good coaches.
Maybe they've tried. Maybe, we tried some different marketing strategies. Like, who knows? You know what I mean? I just feel like we could be doing more. Maybe we can't. Maybe what I'm saying? Maybe we're doing everything they can do. But if you're asking me what I think could make it better, that will be my answer.
The one area I feel like we could do better, and maybe this all goes hand in hand with the extending the programming, is I think we can get more kids recruited from Monroe County. I think we have more collegiate level athletes than what we've capitalized on. I've seen some really good athletes come through Monroe County and never touch a college sport. And the education and just the opportunity to play at the next level would have done them wonders in certain situations. And that's part of why I came home, is how can we help these kids? And that's one area but that ties into it, right? Like if we have these different programs set up, you start getting coaches to come out and watch, you start getting kids recruited.
Increase the culture.
I do think LevelUp has helped in that. I do think they've helped in getting kids recruited, which is a huge thing, right? That's big. So those things are all important. And I think it's important that we take sports as serious as downriver, because I think we have beautiful programs here. I think we have great coaches. Kyle Reed, shout out to Coach Kyle, who just took over Monroe. I'm hoping the best for that guy. I think we just have opportunities here, and I think it's important. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on, how we could improve this area. And obviously this summer, I was going to go over this at the end, but this summer, if there's anything that you're doing in the community with LevelUp or anything, make sure you reach out, and then we can push it out there and make sure the kids know about it. Make sure my kids, Monroe kids, everybody knows about it, but we'll get them there, man. Any programming we can do, let's do it. And honestly, after this show, we can talk more about lining stuff back up. So, all right, man, I got a few more questions for you. We got 2 more questions before we get out of here.
Okay.
One of them is going to be kind of fun. We're going to we might agree, we might banter for a minute. We won't make it go too long, but before we get to that, I want to cover a big sports headline that maybe not everybody's covering or thinking about, and I just want to kind of get your thoughts. What's your thoughts on NIL and the transfer portal? So you were a guy that was being, we've had kids recruited. You worked through the recruiting process, been around college athletics. I'm around college athletics. What's your quick? You don't got to spend an hour. What's your initial thought of NIL and all this stuff, man? The transfer portal, NIL. What's your thoughts?
I don't think it's a bad idea.
The NIL in general, or both?
NIL in general is not a bad idea. I mean, because that's what it's going to be if you're preparing them to be pros.
Right. And let the kids kind of hustle to make some money,
That's
right? Let them get better.
You're going to make more money off endorsement than the pros on your contract sometimes.
And isn't an incentive to get better? I mean, you're a better athlete.
In a sense.
If you're a good wide receiver, you get that NIL deal, right? You want to work hard.
Yep.
I have no problem with the NIL personally, none at all, because I know my kids aren't getting paid big. But I know, I don't know for a fact, but I'm sure I got a few kids somewhere that might be, getting a little something to feed them lunch every week or whatever. And I think that's
that's why they came out with the NIL. That's the only way to get college players
to help these guys out a little bit.
So they had to open it up.
And you have no issues with it. I don't either, man. Let the kids be able to buy a car instead of walk,
they're 18,
to class.
And it's a new world. We're going in a different direction. Like that's just what it is now.
And I think, and not to be, political or anything, but I think you're teaching them to work harder and earn more, right? You work harder, you get more out of life. That's the society we live in. You get bigger NILs. What about the portal? Quickly.
The portal. I don't know exactly what all the rules are on the portal. So I got mixed feelings. I don't like the fact that a kid can just say, I don't want to go here anymore.
And just go.
Right. Because you committed to go there.
You sign the letter of intent.
You know what I mean? Right. Once you've already been there, like guys are transferring after their junior year.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? Like
I have issues personally with it, just because I think you need some kind of regulation on it. I think there needs to be a time period.
That's what I mean.
Maybe like a month out of the year where you can, transfer once that month is over. Hey man, it's, or maybe you have to have a good reason.
You got to be a little more specific.
Something.
I don't like the fact that anybody can just enter the portal and go.
I think it's because I think it's hurting our kids, man. I think it's hurt, and it starts to, and it also trickles to us in high school.
It's helping the game.
It's
creating balancing out college football.
It is, which is the catch, right? It balances college football, but I think it hurts the kids because I think now the kids go,
they don't have to finish anything.
Hey, this guy beat me out, but I don't care. I'll just transfer. I don't got to work hard. Right. And then the problem is some of these guys are transferring 5 times now because their work ethic is never right. But I do agree.
It's not getting exactly what they want.
Right.
I mean? You're not, sometimes you got to earn it. Sometimes, the stars don't align.
Yep.
How do you handle that? How do you handle adversity? So it does teach them a little bit. Okay. A little bit of adversity came your way, jump ship.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's
so I think it should be more specific, maybe a little more regulated. Some more specific rules around
still,
it. I don't disagree with being able to transfer.
Still have an opportunity, right? Yeah. I agree with that.
Yeah. So if like the coach who recruited you leaves.
Right.
You know what I mean? You came there specifically for that coach. Like that was why you were there. He leaves. Okay. You might want to transfer. But end of the season, this guy took your starting job and you couldn't get it back because he was playing well. Now you want to leave. Like, I don't know.
I got 2 more questions for you, my man, before we get out of here. 2 more basketball questions.
Let's do
it. Let's make this one short, sweet. Just give it to me. What is your favorite Kobe moment? You're the Kobe guy. What's your favorite Kobe moment? Favorite moment?
Shot against the Phoenix Suns. It was game 3. Game 3, Phoenix, overtime. He got it off the tip.
Yeah.
Dribbled up.
I know what shot you're talking about.
Took the shot where he did the fist pump after.
Yep.
It's a bittersweet favorite moment, though. Because the Lakers lost that series. That's the first time a team came back from down 3-1
and beat them.
So, but that moment, like, still gives me chills. Like, I remember where I was at. I remember what I was doing.
I love it, man.
I remember where I was sitting. Like, I remember my reaction.
And for those of you guys who don't know, those of you listening, I'm not playing with y'all. You say y'all the Kobe fans. This guy is the Kobe fan. I promise you he is. All right, so here's our last question before we get out of here. He just broke the scoring record. All right, we're taking Kobe completely out of this conversation. We're not talking about the best ever. All right, that's not what I'm asking you. That's not it. I'm asking you Jordan versus LeBron. That's it. Who you got? Who is the top of that ladder out of them 2 guys? And give me a quick reason or 2 why. If you got Mount Rushmore, right? And you got your ranking and you got Kobe at the top, because I'm assuming you have Kobe at the top of your list. That's why I'm not asking for the greatest. Who's your second?
My greatest will shock you, actually, but Kobe's up there.
You got a different greatest?
I do.
Who?
Kareem?
I respect it. Kobe second?
Kobe second.
So who out of LeBron and Jordan, who gets higher on that list? LeBron's higher? Why?
Longevity.
Okay. Put the work in, put the time in.
Longevity. He's handled everything.
This is the age old debate, right? Somebody is going to comment on this.
I know.
Somebody is going to say something about this.
Okay. We can debate about it.
And I'm a Jordan guy.
I stand on my reasons.
I'm a Jordan guy.
On my reasons. And I have reasons why it's not Jordan too, though.
But I respect it.
I mean, the guy went to 5 straight finals, man. No, he didn't win them all, but like just to get there, like it's hard to repeat as champions. Like a team don't even get back. The
problem is too, he's not technically out of winning another one.
No, he's not.
He could, and people say, well, they're not going to win one this year, and even if they don't, he could still win one next. I mean, he's still got a few years left.
Then the teams he took to the final, like some of them Cleveland teams, bro. Look at those rosters.
They were bad. I'm not being mean, man.
You know what I mean? Like, look at those rosters.
They were bad.
I'm not saying Jordan had it easy.
Didn't he take Eric Snow to a finals, man? Yeah,
I remember a game. I was so mad at that. One of the reasons I didn't care for him. He was kicking it out to the corner like Danielle Marshall.
I remember Danielle Marshall. For the jumper. I respect it.
Ira Newble.
For me, man. Oh man, Vujicic. They had some. They had some minimum wage NBA guys.
And they're in the NBA.
I see that
to them, but like he didn't.
You know what it is for me,
he didn't
man?
have another All-Star.
I have no argument to that. I can't argue his longevity. I can't argue his scoring title. My only argument to the whole thing is, and this is just me, it's pure opinion. It's just
the same for me.
It's the attitude, man.
Yeah,
it's the killer mindset. It's Jordan for me all day, and it's why it's Kobe for me all day, because these two operated at such a different level. But different era, man. Like, but that's when it's hard to compare too, right? One guy plays
like these guys. So in the league now, you got guys who played together in high school, AAU,
right. And they played a lot of ball.
You know what I mean? Like they're legitimate friends,
and they played a lot of ball, a lot more ball. And I do think the argument is always right. Like LeBron wouldn't make it through that like hardcore era, but it's also this era is a lot more athletic than the 90s.
It's more even, yeah.
It's like, yeah, the toughness might be less, but the athleticism is like Jordan would have a hard time, and I don't like this guy, but Jordan would have a hard time on a guy like Kevin Durant.
So that's
right,
that's my argument,
because that guy's super athletic.
LeBron's in a way better era, just in my opinion. So like, take the 96.
I get this
96 Bulls. That's 72-10, right? 96.
Yeah,
72-10. How many superstars were in the league in 1996?
Yeah,
what I mean? Every team in the NBA right now has a legitimate superstar, right? At least one.
Yeah.
At least one legitimate superstar.
That's real.
If not two.
That's real.
Like, I mean, looking back, like Phoenix Suns superstar was Dan Marley before Charles Barkley was there.
Yep.
Kevin Johnson.
Yep.
Like,
it's guys that listeners wouldn't even remember. You wouldn't. Some listeners, and no disrespect to those guys, but they weren't those household names. And like, obviously, social media and those things blow guys up a little bit. But it's also like Giannis is a beast, man. KD is a beast. There's 3 superstars there's 3 stars on.
Jordan had look at Jordan's legendary
on Phoenix,
shot, right? Who was Craig Elo?
Yeah.
Great shot.
It was, but yeah. I get what you mean.
Elo?
I get what you mean. That's why I wanted to ask you, though, because I know you would have a perspective that was more thought out than just scoring title. Well, he won the score, because that's what everybody's going to go to, right? They're going to be like, well, LeBron won the scoring title, and he's got this and that record. And really, I want stuff that somebody. I want to know what you think. Somebody that actually, thinks about it.
I thought about it.
Because I
thought about it.
And that's why I didn't want to ask you the greatest, because I knew it was a Laker of some sort.
I got Kareem, man, just from his body of work. From his body of work.
So, Coach, I hope that we can do this again, man. Let's sit down and talk after your season.
Anytime, man.
We'll let the NBA finals and stuff pass by, and we can talk some more basketball and get you on. Before we get out of here, where can we find you? Do you got anything going on coming up, or where can we find you? You said LevelUp in the summer.
I got some stuff lined up that I want to do with LevelUp. I'm gonna reach out to the Opportunity Center as well. Just do some camps, man. I'm gonna try to get them free, so I'm gonna be looking for some sponsors potentially. I mean, I don't know. I just wanted to be free to the kids. You know what I mean? I don't even want them to pay $5 because, if a parent don't find value in it, they're not going to pay the $5, or if they don't have the $5.
Can they find you? Can we find you on Facebook or Instagram?
I'm not on Facebook, man. I'm at HJones329 on Instagram.
Okay, HJones329. All right.
I'm not a big social media person, man. I need to get better at it. You know what I mean? That way I can kind of show off a little more what I got going on. But like I said, it's word of mouth. Man, I tell one kid, tell your friends. No, because I want the kids who might not have social media.
Right. Right.
You know, not that I don't want the ones to do what they got access to way more information.
Right.
You know
I
what
get
I mean?
that.
You know,
yeah, definitely.
so word of mouth, I guess I'm a little too old school in that way, but
so what you guys can do is you guys can stay just kind of stay up with, again, he put his Instagram out there. You can message him and ask him if there's any camps going on. You can check the Level Up page. I'm sure they'll post it. You can talk to me. You guys know I'm a big social media presence, so I can when Coach lets me know he's got something going on, him and I would love to work on something this summer, man. I'm sure we will. We'll get together. Guys, you can, again, follow BrainJerk Entertainment on Facebook and Instagram. You can follow Kennedy Health and Wellness on Facebook and Instagram. Also, there's a Coach K training and development group where we share nothing but inspiration and coaching. We are back next Sunday. Time to be determined. Thank you guys for tuning in. Kicking It with Coach K podcast. Coach, appreciate you being here, my man. Sir.